Hi, this is Vincent Mejia, and this is my multimedia project presentation. For this project, I decided to build a website entitled Project eLearning Discovery, an internet research portal for 21st century educators. For this project, I use Wix, which is a web building application site. And it's been interesting for me to see that in comparing other websites, Wix is by far the most aesthetically pleasing to the eye, the most intuitive, as well as thoughtful in managing and presenting information. The focus audience of this site are educators, students, as well as parents. The purpose of this site is to serve as an information research portal for innovations and strategies, as well as a professional development instruction platform. As will be discussed, I originally designed this website around 3 modules of discussion and presentation as a professional development course of instruction. Beginning with the mission statement of Project eLearning Discovery, it was interesting for me to find a data report published by the Federal Communication Commission that ranks the U.S. 15th in the world as far as broadband accessibility in the classroom. I embedded a video here, which is in collaboration with the U.S. Department of Education, with a special appearance by the President. The purpose or the goals of Project Discovery include student and teacher empowerment, how students and teachers can be empowered by e-learning innovations instead of feeling intimidated. Engagement, how they can take these new innovations and applications and actively engage in the learning process. Effectiveness, the quality of the information that is being harvested and making connections with real lives, and as well as motivation and incorporating that in the learning process instead of just promoting enthusiasm through bells and whistles of technology. And of course, validity. Is the information that we are finding verifiable? Is it reputable? And can it be supported? And the strategies that go along with that. Inclusive, I added a demographic presentation of the most visited websites per country worldwide. It was interesting to see how Google ranks number 1, Facebook is number 2, and Yahoo is number 4 with others. And this was current as of 2013. Underneath mission statement, I included what is information literacy. Essentially, all the concerns that I just mentioned. Internet literacy is the understanding of how to make informed choices and applications of these concerns. It was also a great benefit for me to discover such a book called Born Digital, which talks about millennials, how adept and proficient they are with new IT technologies, yet for some reason remain narrow in their perception of what they're finding is actually reputable and valid. Some of these areas of concern will be discussed further. I also embedded a graph that talks about, or that illustrates those startup methods that students are most likely to go to, beginning with Google, of course. SparkNotes is somewhere in the middle, followed by news sites, textbooks, and unfortunately the lower end are research librarians and search engines. The purpose of Project Discovery is to change that somewhat based on areas of interest. Next, the modules. As I discussed, this was designed around 3 modules of instruction, including my project proposal during the course, and it just blossomed there. So it's both informative, but also for professional development presentation purposes, as well as it addresses concerns for both students and teachers to share in the discovery. The Module 1 is entitled The Internet is Everywhere, which deals with verifying the validity of information sites. some of the concerns that teachers and libraries have, facing a dilemma as far as how students perceive what they're finding as to be valid. I provided the embedding of such startup sites as JSTOR, ERIC, which is presently going through some downtime maintenance, but that's a valid site, as well as Google Scholar. I also itemized the difference between academic journals, government sites such as Library of Congress, and archive news agencies, which still are a valid source, such as CNN, New York Times, and others. Additionally, I provided some information about innovative database information resources. These are under the category of meta research, which can be defined as when somebody has a prompt for a particular area of interest, whether it's agriculture, history, or economics. These databases will cross-search and find other areas, disciplines that will support those research projects instead of just being extraneous. These sites are invaluable for follow-on or following other trails of research. Module 2 is entitled How Do We Know What We Want? I'm sorry, How Do We Know What We Need? Which can also be the same thing. With such a vast array of interests and areas of research, it's helpful for students and teachers to focus. The suitability of what we're finding is supported by the scope, taking those big ideas and bringing them down to manageable morsels. How do we do this? It could be through articles, books, websites, or other materials. Some of these materials are not necessarily ideal for a project. It may be a case where a junior high school student discovers JSTOR or ERIC, and they're citing dense scholarly articles, and although the information is very good and sound, it's not quite agreeable with the tone of the presentation. I also included mention of scholarly articles, popular articles such as magazines, newspapers, websites, and blogs. Blogs remain an excellent resource for current information discussions and public reactions. Inclusive of startup research, I embedded a video that talks about Google startup research strategies, as well as sleuthing the trail, which will be discussed a little bit further following on, which talks about the excellent resource of bibliographies and current bibliographies. Module 3 is entitled Critical Evaluation of the Internet. Evaluation is of the highest concern. What we find is useless unless it's verifiable and reputable. I broke it down into areas of authority. Who wrote the article? What are their academic credentials? Was it a website? If it was a website, how reputable are they? How often are they read? Do they have a particular agenda? Also, additional mention about the value of bibliography, citation lists, and footnotes, and how those can be investigated. The difference between primary and secondary research. Primary resources being firsthand in areas of liberal arts, history, sciences with new discoveries, even hard news investigative journalism. Secondary resources are those that provide critical analysis of primary resources, as well as forum discussions, reviews, and articles listed in such magazines as Scientific America and Discovery as an example. Additionally, I embedded a few links that deal specifically with these concerns from national institutions. One in particular from New Mexico State University entitled The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, or Why It's Good Idea to Evaluate Web Resources. Additionally, how to critically analyze information to increase student engagement and critical analysis, higher order thinking skills. I also embedded 2 videos that deal with scope and dimension and authority. Quantum Leap. Following the modules, I provided an extensive library resource for educators and students. In addition to a startup mention of some of the most used research platforms that educators deal with today, such as wikis, WebQuest. I included a WebQuest that dealt with a content-specific research project in one of my teacher practicums. My Big Campus is an excellent resource. It's modeled after Facebook, and I've seen this firsthand how it's very good to include, well, student reactions have been so positive and so enthusiastic, including such things as blogs, areas of discussion, in a different format than a highly structured classroom environment. Inclusive of that, building upon that, I included a few information management links. These are tools that are good for both in and out of the classroom. Among these include Infogram, which through whiteboard and smart room technologies allows students and teachers to collaborate with the presentation of information with graphs and even yellow stickies. Easily is another example that provides demographic charts and drop-down boxes and is intuitive with presenting statistical analysis. Also, once again, meta research topic locators. These are databases that cross search different topics to find what a singular idea can be, how it can be related to other areas. Mashpedia is very good for this, including wiki education strategies. It also includes incorporation of YouTube, Flickr, Twitter, Dig, and other genres. And the very comprehensive Google Ed technology, which is just a litany of all the educational strategies provided by Google Ed. Assessments. Part of my design strategy for this website was to provide interactive activities between students and teachers that deal with assessment of internet information. In that regard, one of the top evaluation activities that I provided was a website evaluation worksheet. It begins with topic, search engine, ULR, number of hits, and covers the areas of accuracy, authority, objectivity, currency, and coverage. My goal with that survey is for students to first complete it and then share with each other their findings, and for students to verify their classmates. So it's a form of interpersonal sharing as well as critiquing. Additionally, at the top, I provided a plagiarism database. There are many of these, but the one that I discovered, Turnitin, is probably the most verifiable, as irony presents itself in saying that way. It also provides strategies and drop-down boxes, features for online grading, originality check, as well as connecting with iPad resources, white papers, webcasts, and so many other areas. Inclusive of this list are additional links for evaluating information, web pages, and I also included under resource library databases for internet research, including everything from Library of Congress, NASA, to Internet Public Library. Additionally, I added further databases and archives that included British Library Catalog System and the catalog of U.S. government publications, as well as some books and journals. Startup sites such as WorldCat, Google Books is an excellent resource where teachers don't necessarily have to buy books, and students, there are many resources that are available free and online, as well as JSTOR and a few others. And lastly, I included a blog. Such an endeavor would not be useful without sharing and contributing to an online discussion, and the contact page. Thank you very much.